together. Oh, are we on? Okay. So we're coming back for the second part of our discussion about dragons. And because Raven said they appear in many forms, and you may not be as aware of that, naturally I was reading from my Bible, which is called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. How many people here have seen this book?
That's a great book.
After you mentioned it, you're the second person I had to go
And
get it, yeah.
this is a spectacular story about a man who had a very troubled life, and at 62, he stepped in front of a car and passed. He died. This isn't a near death, he died. And he came back 3 weeks later and dictated this book to his loving sister. It's a great story. I kept thinking, is this fiction? Because it would be great fiction, but it's not. It's a true story. And I was reading it for the 6th time, and I don't read books 6 times. And at the back end of the book, I became aware, because I knew we were coming in today to talk about dragons, I became aware of these 4 paragraphs that I really hadn't registered before. His spirit has evolved in the higher realms, and he's about ready to let go and dissolve into consciousness and not even be a spirit. It's a spectacular story, but I just wanted to read a couple of paragraphs. He's in this cave with his goddess, who's going to lead him into the highest of realms. And it says, as the smoke cloud reaches the top of the cave, it forms a golden dragon and fiery eyes. He's fierce, but I am not at all afraid. The dragon's devotion to me is obvious. My dragon, I've been connected for a while. My dragon has served me through many lives. My protector came to me in different forms. A beloved pet, an unexpected stroke of luck, the kind act of a stranger, a chance meeting that brought good fortune, the friend who showed up when I needed one. These were expressions of his devotion. I feel such profound gratitude. I want to honor him in some way. I pour the nectar, anyhow, that's part of the story, from a cup into my hand and offer it. As my dragon drinks, I am overcome by a longing. This moment is one that I would like to hold on to. My faithful dragon bows his head, touches his forehead to mine, and in a wild, selfless act of courage, he breaks open the cave and destroys it with his power. Then my dragon disappears like rising smoke. I am now standing before the great emptiness of the absolute. I am ready to enter the void. If you haven't read The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, it's better than any near-death experience I've ever heard of. And I may be crazy, but I have recommended this book a lot, and I found the lesson about the dragon, which I really hadn't expected to find, except here we are today. Raven.
Thank you. We all had our break, which was perfect after playing with our dragon. So how many of you, during that meditation, could feel that heat come over you? Power. How many of you felt it in your diaphragm, like a pressure, like a push, a pull there? Some people feel it there in the heart. Sometimes people feel it in the heart. Sometimes people feel it in their center, the challenge. How is it to bow in front of that dragon? Yeah?
It's the right thing.
Okay.
When I bowed down to the dragon touched foreheads with me.
Very-
Just like your book.
Yep. It's a
Amazing.
old tradition of
Thank you.
exchange, of bowing, of respect, of sharing of wisdom, of knowledge. Yeah, That's why it's
like a dragon kiss. If he touches your forehead with his forehead, it's almost as good as a dragon kiss. When you think that's the closest you can get.
There you go. Perfect. Good. And everybody had a connection to a dragon?
Yes.
Anybody just see an energy or a light, or maybe just the element? Everybody had that dragon come forward? Good. So that dragon that came forward to the element, know that you can go back and repeat that meditation and meet one for each of the elements. You met that one element today, and the one that you chose wants to work with you right now. So think about that element. That fire might be burning away or helping you raise your metabolism, or it might be helping you, because again, the elemental is not outside of you, it's part of you. So that water might be helping you with your grief, your tears, your emotions, but it also might be balancing your hormones, the fluids. That air might be air to breathe, to reduce down stress, to reduce down your anxiety, but it also might be allowing more of life, breathing in life in. And that earth dragon might be there to help you be grounded, to be here easier on the ground. Again, we're spiritual beings. It's tough being here. So an earth dragon might come to you to help you to be in your body easier, to release pain, to help with your joints, to be able to be grounded, to be focused. Yeah? So each of those elemental dragons can offer different things. So I really challenge you to go back and meet those other dragons. And because it's recorded, you can watch us and do it again. Yay. So how do we take care of our dragons? So first, I'm going to pass around this bowl as I talk for everybody to pick out a stone. Let your dragon pick your stone. Very good. Perfect. So pick out that stone so that you have a stone to work with your dragon. So you can hold that to your heart, and maybe you take a deep breath, and I want you to think of your dragon. So when that stone comes around, think of your dragon, take a deep breath, and blow. Imagine that dragon blowing that fire that you stood in. That's the cool thing about meditations. Because we are spiritual beings, we're not bound by time or space. So as soon as you close your eyes and imagine standing back in that fire, you're there, back in that meditation. So if you take a deep breath and blow into your stone, you are putting part of that fire into that stone, that dragon. So that'll help you connect to that dragon being. With you, I know you have that piece of serpentine. That's a gorgeous piece. Same thing, serpentine. So let's talk about serpentine. Serpentine, I'll show this guy off. I actually work with a Chinese carver, and he carves any stone I want, and I had him carve serpentine dragon for me. If you want one, let me know. I can get you hooked up. So serpentine is a really unusual stone. It is actually magma from our core of our earth. And like a watermelon seed or pumpkin seed, since we're in pumpkin spice time, if you hold a pumpkin seed between your fingers and you squeeze really hard, what happens? It pops out, right? That's exactly what happens to serpentine. It gets encased by other stones because it's magma. So it gets squeezed, and when it gets squeezed, it pops through the layers of stone up to the surface. So our serpentine is actually from the oceans, the bottom of the oceans that go down into Mother Earth and get pushed out of the plate under the Cascades, and it gets encapsulated. Sometimes serpentine's dirty. It has bits of other stone in it. It can be blue-green or other colors. Pure serpentine like this is where it's the pure pumpkin seed and gets pushed to the surface. So one of the dragons, because I love hiking too, I've been up above Samlasac, which is above Roslyn, Washington. That's where they did Twin Peaks, I think. Is that what that was? Yes. No, Northern Exposure. There we go, Northern Exposure. So Roslyn, Washington. So up above there, those mountains called Samlasac, there is a lot of serpentine exposures up there. And when I sat on top of one of these, as I had a meditation, this dragon came forward and said, "Excuse me, you're sitting on me." And I went, "Wait, what?" And he's like, "I am the serpentine. I fell asleep on this mountain and I became the mountain." The serpentine broke off, and you'll find it, when you find serpentine exposed, it breaks off in scales. And I realized I am sitting on a giant dragon that fell asleep and became stone. And he said, take of me as much as you can carry. We backpacked 50 pounds of serpentine that day out of the mountains, and it was amazing. And I've never seen in any books I've ever read, and I have a lot of stone and crystal books, the connection of serpentine to dragons. But the dragons are like, we've always been part of serpentine because that is the life force of your Mother Earth. It's the first stone. It's the magma. So I'm like, oh, and serpentine itself is grounding, connects to Kundalini, and helps in past lives. Isn't that interesting? So fabulous stone to work with, and you can find it a variety of different colors. Totally found this in the store, and yeah, it's a dragon's claw. That's my meditation, my focal points. It helps you to focus on the dragons, helps you to ground, and really connect with their energy. So highly recommend getting yourself a piece. So how do we care and feed for our dragons? So dragons, you can find a variety of different things to help you connect with dragons. If you go searching for dragons on the internet, I guarantee you're gonna have 1,001 images. And the cool thing is they're not all vicious looking. There's some pretty amazing looking dragons out there. So you can get the little cute ones in your fairy gardens, little cute little dragons. You can get the different resin or rosewood dragons, feng shui, which literally translates to the movement of the dragon. That's what feng shui means. Is a feng shui charm. A big one that they use quite a bit is the dragon to help move energy and represent that flow of energy or chi within the house, the flow of the dragon. And your house placement, a mountain or a hill is the ridge of the dragon. So you don't want to have your house on the top of the mountain because the wind will blow you off. And you don't want to be at the tail end of the dragon because, yeah, tail end of the dragon, you can kind of guess. Sticky down there, and you don't want to be in the armpit of the dragon. You want to be on the flank of the dragon, which is the sweet spot or the heart of the dragon. That is the ideal place to place your house. Feng Shui practitioner, not a master practitioner. So lots of different dragons you can get. This is tail biter, and sometimes when you work with dragons, they move into your statues. I worked with this cute little fairy dragon, and he moved in here, and his name is Tailbiter because he liked this statue so much, and he has come quite a bit. I've channeled messages about healing your inner child. So you can get statues, you can get pictures, you can get stones. Holy cow. You can get these little lovely dragon skulls. Amazon, $25. I'm an Amazon advertisement today, aren't I? But you can get those really easy. These guys here are all different carvings I've gotten, and the skulls, and that's the cool thing is these are becoming very, very reasonable now. They used to be so many hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and now you can get them for 100 or so. So this is Jasper here, this is Avery, and again, a lot of these dragon spirits, they don't mind coming into these physical forms to work with you so that you have something physical to hold on to. So this is very powerful dragon. He has helped me with a lot of my different ceremonies I do by holding that energy, holding that gate. So he will hold that fire energy, the south. So when I did my summer solstice medicine wheel work, he held that south gate. He held the roar of the fire of the south. He held it and didn't break him. Woo! So amazing. And he has the residual of that energy and that ceremony in him. So when I hold him, I can feel that ceremony, those prayers that we put in. So lots of different things you can do. And again, you can have fun with it. There's some stuffed animals here behind John. Story on that pink dragon. Our toilet was running. My husband replaced the guts 3 times. and it kept running and it kept running and he kept replacing the guts in the toilet. And one night I look over there and there's this little pink dragon gargling toilet water. Yeah. And I went, oh, it's not the guts of the toilet, it's the dragon playing in the toilet. Oops. So I said, tell you what, can we find a way for you not to gargle the toilet water? And so I walked into Monroe, and at one of the little stores, this was sitting in the window, and it went, Freya! So I got the stuffed animals. So this is a fairy dragon, good example, about that size. They usually have like rainbow butterfly wings, and they represent fairy dragons. So they're really small dragons. So they can be really small and cute like this. And ever since she's been in the stuffed animals, so she went, I want to go. You got to tell my story. So she came today. So again, they're so much fun. You know, little teeny quartz. This is an amethyst little fairy dragon here that we wanted to come to. So they kind of all fought to decide who wanted to come. So you can really play around with this. So why do we have physical? Because we're physical beings. And we need that connection. We need to be able to feel. I've got dragon earrings on. I've got a dragon agate necklace on. So we have these different things. We've always done that. We've adorned dragons on our bowls, on our jewelry, because again, it helped us connect to that power, to that energy. So shop around, my friends. There is a lot of ways to connect with dragons. But again, you find what the connection is. You find what works for you. Is it just a squiggle line that represents the dragon, or is it a innate and beautiful, crusted with gems and jewels and gold? Whatever your bank account will allow you to do. Whatever you feel connected to. So however you do that, be it a bracelet, this is a feng shui dragon bracelet with obsidian. So again, you can really connect with them, but it's about your intention and your connection. Just like you did with the stone that passed around, that's where the connection is. Not how much money you spent on the dragon, it's about your intention and connection to this guide. So have fun with it, because Freya here is just as powerful as any of these stones. And again, I really believe in stuffed animal magic. That would be a great class. Stuffed animal magic, because you know, we can't have a zebra, but we can have a stuffed animal of a zebra. So you can connect with these beings in however form you want. Now, caretaking, this is an interesting thing. I just was doing a dragon ceremony, and I was trying to find out a way to honor the dragons, and this totally came to me. Amy was involved in that. And the dragon said, we want food. And I said, well, what am I supposed to feed you? And they went, I want dragon catnip. I'm like, dragon catnip? Sulfur. So sulfur, Amazon, $8. Use it in your garden, actually. Sulfur spray is amazing. How many of you have a garden? How many of you get that lovely white fuzzy mildew that grows all over your squash and pumpkins? Drives me crazy too. My farmer friend of mine said, sulfur is your friend. So sulfur, you can put it in a spray bottle and spritz it with a water base, and it actually gets rid of all that mildew. Works great, and it did. The dragons love it too, and I had a beloved person that came to our ceremony and shared my own belief is that they use it for blessing and cleansing to release negative energies. So sulfur, again, has been used by peoples for a long time. Again, we mix that with saltpeter and stones, and what do we get?
Gunpowder.
Gunpowder. That's right. So sulfur has been used for a long time. So the dragons, this is like catnip. They go crazy for this stuff. So a little pinch of this, you can put it in a bowl, you can sprinkle it. I used it actually on the altar and left all offerings. I have little chunks of it that I leave them on next to my statues. They roll around like my cat on catnip. So I totally recommend sulfur. Don't get in your eyes, don't eat it. But we do actually use sulfur, MSG. It's good for our joints. So we do actually use sulfur. So if you don't want to get it in powder form, get some MSG lotion. A little bit for you, a little bit for the dragons. We're all good. So sulfur is a good one. Gold. So this is awesome. This is Avery's. I brought part of them. So he has a gold plate that's covered in coins from around the world. So I've had people give me coins from like just about every country. I've collected them. And I put them on a big plate because he said, like any good dragon with a hoard, he wanted his treasure. So he has all these different coins, and he said, you need to magnetize that wealth back to you. We don't like some extra money, especially if we have to buy all these different things. So he told me to get magnets. Amazon's my friend. Magnetic gold magnets. So you can find these on Amazon, and they attract things to you. They magnetize gold to you. So this is on his plate. I tell you, ever since I added those gold magnets to his plate, well, he's got money coming to me. So I pass that little tip to you too. So again, you can have fun with this. Now the biggest thing on the dragons, pyrite's another one, very good stone to work with the dragons. Again, that gold color. And then with the winter solstice coming, your different stones can be attached to the different elements. So think jasper for grounding, but it can be fire if you want. You can do green moss agate for that earth dragon. You can do a celestite or a selenite that you have, that little chunk. That'd be great for air dragon.
Oh.
Yeah, so you can really use different stones. You can ask your dragon, but the most important part is ask. Ask that dragon. Ask them, what stone do you want to work with? What herb should I work with you? Do you want catnip? Do you want a bath? Just ask them. Moonstone's coming up because winter solstice, we have the moon dragon coming in who's opening that doorway for the magic. So moonstone is going to be a very powerful stone to work with for this winter solstice. I have been getting my pieces. So this piece is already up here. So again, feel it out what feels appropriate for you. There's no right or wrong, and that's the biggest thing. We need to let go of, oh no, I'm not doing the proper protocol. I'm not bouncing on one leg and doing a certain way. This is about your relationship with this magical being. Someone asked me before, what's the connection between dragons, fairies, and unicorns? And again, because they're oftentimes grouped in that magical realm, and because they do keep those doorways, they are the guardians of the unicorns, Sasquatches too, but all the fairy realms, they oftentimes guard the gateway for the fae folk that come back and forth between those realms, and so they get grouped in there into magical beings. And we think about our folk tales and fairy tales of dragons and unicorns and all that, so they all kind of get mushed together. But again, when you really feel them out energetically, like I talked about, they are their own beings. But they do work well with all the different ones. So have your angels play with the dragons, have your fairies and unicorns hang out together. And the biggest thing that I wanted to point out is during the meditation, I had you focus on something that you wanted to manifest. How many of you saw your egg? Yeah? Did you see that egg? That thing you wanted to manifest? And it's okay. If you didn't see it, that egg was there. That egg went into your heart. And you remember how that dragon wrapped around you? Why did it wrap around you? Why did it want to protect you? When I worked with the dragons, one of the biggest epiphanies I had that dragons shared with me is that the dragons, I asked them, why do we always associate you with treasure? And the treasure, oftentimes we think of that pearl of wisdom. We think of that treasure, that wisdom, the ancient knowledge they protect. We always think of that, the treasures, the dragon, Shmog with his giant, huge piles of dwarven gold that he was protecting, and he was greedy and protecting all that mountain of gold, right? We always think of them as protecting that gold, that treasure, that wealth. The dragons said no. The dragons told me they protect treasure. And the reason why that dragon wrapped around you is because you are the treasure. Just like you said in that book. You are the treasure. It's protecting you. You are the wisdom because you've forgotten your wisdom. And it protects you so that you remember. It protects you to remind you, you are creation's light. You are the fire. And it protects you until you remember that. Until you remember that you can breathe fire too. That you are that fire, that creation. And I honor you. First time I did this lecture, what was it, about 4 years ago?
It was a
Couple years ago. It was too
Sound
much.
for the new human.
Yeah, you walked out.
She warned us ahead of time. Some of you may not be able to stay when I call the dragons into the room. I was wondering if you're going to give that warning again today or not. I was the one that couldn't stay, but today I'm here. So have things changed or what?
Yeah. And
I watched your link and I got my own dragon and he told me his name.
awesome.
So I mean that whole thing already happened.
And that is you. You
Yeah.
stepped in the fire. You accepted your
Yeah,
power.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you and like many people are ready to step in the fire. The earth is changing. You're an example of that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because we're ready. We're ready to change. We're ready to stand in that fire. And each of us has a different fire. Did you notice that the fire of your dragon was a different color? What colors do people have?
Yellowish orange.
Yellowish orange?
Yellow orange.
Yellow orange? Red?
White gold.
White gold. Ooh.
White green.
White green.
Some purple and
Purple.
reddish.
Reddish.
That was the eyes.
That's right, and it came from the eyes. The fire came from the eyes. Yeah. Did anybody have something besides fire? Anybody have water or bubbles?
Light.
Smoke? Light? Good. Smoke? Good. So again, different elements, different kinds, it comes in different ways, but those colors is so important. You can apply color therapy to that. The color of the flame is oftentimes the color of the chakra or the energy or vibration or ray that needs to come into you. You can directly translate that to the rays. So think of Archangel Michael, he brings in that ray of blue of truth in, but he can also bring in the red of justice too. Each guide that you work with can have a different color association. Well, their fire on dragons is very similar that way. They can bring in different fire in their flame of what you need. Again, you are the treasure. It's attuning to you and to help you. So you can give that color back. If your dragon's a certain color, you can add that into that honoring of them. Now, why do we honor the dragons? Why do I have all this stuff? Well, yeah, I like dragons. Go fig.
Well, we have to give something back for getting something. It's just like the Native Americans offer corn or tobacco. You gotta give something.
Bless you! Thank you! Gold star. We need to start thinking about how we give back. Come on, Archangel Michael, do this. Give me that green light. Come on, angels, give me the windfall. Give me the lottery. Come on, animals, do this, do that. Do you think you'd be a little upset if someone was ordering you around and asking you to do all this stuff and fix them constantly? Yeah. We need to get off our high horse, our pedestal, and we need to realize that we're brothers and sisters. The dragons are our brothers and sisters. We're on equal footing. We're all in a big circle together. So we need to start coming from respect. And what did I tell you about dragons? Was the first thing. They are all about respect. So if you have a right relationship with them, that's amazing. It is about fostering a beautiful relationship out of respect, co-creating. So when you honor these dragons, when you get that statue, because it draws you to your heart, and you put that out with that intention, I'm getting the statue for you, thank you. And you dust it and you take care of it. And maybe you have a mango and all of a sudden you keep thinking about your dragon because I like mangoes. So you take a piece of your mango, you put a little dish and put it by the dragon. What have you done? You fed your dragon, an offering. Maybe you put some tobacco there. Maybe that's what your dragon likes, or corn, or a stone. Maybe it wants a feng shui charm, or maybe you dance for it, or you do some movement for that dragon.
Or a candle.
A candle, or music.
Water.
You do a sexy dragon dance. Maybe you read comic books. There's a beautiful comic called Slack Dragon. I love him. Slack Worm, actually. Slack Worm. He's hilarious. He's a dragon. He likes to get little hand puppets of dragon and the wizard and stuff and order the people around. Oh, I'm a horrible dragon. Fear me. They kind of look at him like, no. Think of Mulan, Little Dragon. And we get little cartoons and things like that. Again, that's our way of honoring them back. But do it with intention. Don't just go, that's a nice stuffed animal I got, like dragons. This is Freya. This is my dragon. It reminds me to play. It reminds my inner child to believe and make believe again. To believe in dragons and unicorns. That I was right. That my inner child was right. That when I played with dragons when I was 3, and I would take the Sharpie marker from my parents and draw all over my body dragons because they told me to, and I got in trouble and they hid the Sharpie marker. Totally true story.
Now you have a tattoo, so you got it. You finally got it.
I did. Yeah, they had to hide the Sharpie markers because they used to draw dragons all over me. Because the little baby dragon would tell me to do it all the time. You should draw dragons all over you. Big blue ones on your arms right there. It's not until years later that I'm reading through all the Celtic stories and all Merlin and all that I came across that tradition and I got chills and went, I used to do blue Sharpie marker dragons on my arms all the time. What the heck? Scottish Native American. Don't put me in the sun with a beer. Bad combination. I'm drunk and sunburned about 5 minutes flat. So when I started doing research, that tingling, we call that truth bumps, when you get that tingling. So as you are looking at the dragons in a new light, as you're listening to those bagpipes and you're getting the chills and you remember, and you're like, didn't our family crest for our clan have a dragon on it?
That was common.
Yes, it was. Power. But also the dragon was the bloodline. It's in there.
Oh,
Why do I want to read the Dragon Riders of Pern? Why did that so capture me as a teen? Why did that sing to my heart so much? When I watched the new Pete's Dragon and watched the dragon, I sobbed. I sobbed. Because here's a dragon, instead of being horrible bad guy, is a protector of the woods and protected the child. Just like that dragon protects all of you.
Ever seen Dragonheart with Sean Connery?
Yes, one of my favorites.
That was an interesting concept.
Yeah, Draco.
Yeah, Draco. Yeah.
And when he died, he went to the dragon constellation.
And because when the prince died, he died because they have the same heart, even though the prince was corrupt.
Yeah, the dragon sacrificed himself. He wanted the wisdom to live on the kid, but the kid was rotten and spoiled, and he could not. So the knight that was entrusted, again, with the dragon teaching. So there's truth always woven
There is.
in our stories
Yeah.
and movies and teachings, but you have to listen with your heart. So I challenge you, listen with your heart. Tap back into these dragons. Let them remind you of your ancestry, of your history.
Dragon DNA, it's got a ring to it.
Ooh, I like it! Yay! We need a new Ancestry.com test. What to swap?
Dragon DNA.
Dragon, mermaid, Star Nation. Like it? So it's time. It's time. It's time to wake up that dragon within you and roar. So my final thing is, because we've have this dragon guide, but we need to wake up that dragon in you. So I want all of you to put your feet flat on the floor. Put the journal down. And one last thing. As I promised with the lecture, what did I promise?
Take on dragon home.
Roar like a dragon.
Roar like a dragon.
So in a lot of the martial arts techniques, they tap into this. They call it Kai or Ki, or that bringing that force forward. And there's a reason why. When you roar, you bring forward that power, that energy, that Chi. We're going to tap into that, because what are people afraid of? What are the
Their own
politicians?
power? Their own power?
Yeah, and
Success.
the power of the people. Because when people roar, so last year, after the shooting, teenagers got together and started roaring for gun control. They howled. Last year was the year of the wolf of the earth dog, and they howled for change because they tapped into that roar. We want change. So I'm going to leave this as my gift to you today. So everybody tap into that. Everybody close their eyes. And this time, as we call upon Mother Earth, we're going to call upon our dragon. Call upon your dragon to come forward. See that dragon standing before you. And this time, bow again. But watch as that dragon bows back. It's now paying you respect and bowing to you. Feel that dragon's power there. And as you tap into that fire, maybe that dragon blows that fire over you again. With those flames. And this time, as those flames go over you, I want you to breathe in that fire. Breathe it in. And I want you to breathe that fire all the way down into your belly, deep into your belly. So out with that breath and breathe in again. In and out. Don't worry about bad breath. Just breathe in and out. And with each breath in and out, let those billows expand. Let those lungs expand. Feel that fire building inside of you. And as we breathe in this time, I want you to let it out in a big roar. And again, in. And again, in. And last time, really roar. And as we feel that fire mellowing out, as we feel all those nerve endings alive inside of us, feel your own power as it comes back into balance. That you can do anything. You can be anything. For you are everything. And now feel that dragon again wrap itself around you. Your beautiful armor. For you are the treasure, and it will protect you forever. Because it loves you. This dragon loves you. For you are the fire, and you are the fire in this dragon's breath. Bow again to this dragon. And you come back to yourself in the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental bodies, wiggling your fingers and toes, and coming back into the here and now. Aho.
Oh,
Woo! Yay! Thank you so much, everybody.
thank you, Raven. You're excellent again.
Yay, thank you. Thank you again for having me. I brought my newsletters. Definitely sign up. I am online, so if you want to learn more about dragons, John was very kind to post my Dragonfire meditation. I'm on YouTube. I've got all kinds of teachings on there if you'd like to learn more about tobacco, fairies, Archangel Michael, you name it. I've got all kinds of things on there. I've got our teaching platform called learnitlive.com/Raven. I've got over 60 classes on there, including dragons, angels, mermaids. Every month I do a voice of spirit where I give a guide, a goddess, a being, a voice. Merlin's coming up because he wants to talk about the magic. And next week is unicorns, because I had an 8-year-old request it. Can you please do unicorns? So I'm doing unicorns next week.
You do
So,
goddesses?
oh yeah, I've done
Not just the
Kuan
Celtic
Yin,
goddesses?
I've done all kinds of different ones.
Any Hindu goddesses?
I've done Shiva, and more to come. So definitely take a look online. For local, I'm down in the Everett area. I offer stone healing, as John mentioned, and I brought a beautiful gift of coupons. So if you'd like to come get a half-an-hour healing, I offer a coupon to save some money and come experience that. And then if you are so inclined, one of the other many voices I give is I'm a full-body channel. So believe it or not, the dragons interwoven their voice a little bit in there. You probably heard my voice get a little deeper today. They like to jump in. And one of the beautiful beings that I bring forward is Divine Mother Mary. Every Christmas for over 20 years, I brought her through. And let me tell you, the nativity from the first person point of view is really different. She talks about how she didn't want to have birth of Jesus in that town, so she put Joseph asleep on the donkey and walked across the desert to Bethel. It was hilarious. She was a very empowered, powerful, passionate woman, and I love her to pieces. So every Christmas she comes through and does a blessing called Darsham. For those of you who have sat in front of Amachit, how many have sat in front of the hugging saint Amachit? Is very much like that. You sit in front of Mother and she hugs you and brings divine through. So she talks about and forecasts the next year, so she'll be talking about 2020. She actually predicted the earthquake we had here last year. So, and that's actually on Learn Life. You can listen to what she's forecasting for the rest of this year. She talked about it. So she'll forecast 2020, and she gives a gift because she loves giving hugs and gifts. So she gives a gift out every year, so she'll be talking about the magic coming in next year. So that'll be on December 14th. I've got a little flyer over here to remind you, and it's community potluck. So it's a donation that night, and we bring together dessert to connect with the community and then sit and listen to Mom and receive that blessing, Darsham, that evening. So I invite you all to come join Divine Mother as she shares her insights that night. And when you receive that hug and blessing, oftentimes it's not just Mother that jumps in. By the end of the night, my face feels like Play-Doh. As all these different beings like to jump in and say hi to you. Your guides, they come through and talk directly to you one-on-one. So it's a beautiful evening, and I invite you to be there and let me know how I can be of service to all of you. It is my honor to be here and, of course, be a voice to my beloved dragon friends. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you.